Here we have a wartime general returned in crisis to rebuild France and redraw its place in the world. I'm Matt Hasquin. I'm a high school history teacher. I'm taking you through Billy Joel's We Didn't Start the Fire, and we're moving on to Charles de Gaulle. When Billy Joel sings Charles de Gaulle, he's pointing to the leader who turned a collapsing Fourth Republic into the Fifth Republic and gave post-war France a new voice abroad. De Gaulle first mattered as the Free French commander in World War II, staking a claim to France's legitimacy from exile. But the lyric lives in the 1950s, when France was stuck in colonial wars and political gridlock. In 1958, as the Algerian War tore at the country and the army in Algiers challenged Paris, de Gaulle was called back to power. He insisted on a new constitution with a strong presidency. He took office and stabilized the state. The Fifth Republic began. On Algeria, he moved from Algérie Française, the rhetoric there, to the hard conclusion that the war had to end. And after ceasefire talks and a national referendum, Algeria won independence in 1962. And it was a really wrenching choice. It was met with attempted coups and assassination plots, and it did close a chapter that had poisoned French politics for some time. Abroad, de Gaulle pursued grandeur, strategic independence inside the Western Alliance. France tested its own nuclear weapons in 1960. It pressed for a Europe led by Europeans. It vetoed British entry to the European Economic Community in 1963 and 1967, and recognized the People's Republic of China in 1964. In 1966, he pulled France out of NATO's Integrated Military Command, not the alliance itself, but he was pushing headquarters off French soil to underline autonomy. At home, the 1960s brought prosperity and tension. In May 1968, student protests and a massive general strike rattled the country. De Gaulle briefly vanished from Paris to consult the army. He returned and then dissolved the National Assembly and won a big election, proof that street heat didn't equal ballot math. But the spell was broken. In 1969, after voters rejected his regional reform referendum, he resigned. He died the next year, leaving a system and a style that outlasted him. So why that name in the one phrase, right? Because Charles de Gaulle signals the moment a single figure restructured a democracy and repositioned a mid-century power, ending a colonial war, rewriting the presidency, and carving an independent lane between two superpowers. When you tie it back to the song, we have a list that's just, racing through different upheavals. Charles de Gaulle marks France's pivot from instability to a durable constitutional order and a louder voice on the world stage. And the reason why de Gaulle matters, he shows how institutions and identity get rebuilt at the same time. New rules at home, new posture abroad. The Fifth Republic, NATO debates, nuclear independence, and decolonization all just came together in his decade. If you've enjoyed this episode of We Didn't Start the Fire, leave a like, a comment, all those things like that. And next up after Charles de Gaulle, we're going to shift gears and we're going to California baseball. Thanks for watching.